If you don't do this, you're putting a lot of pressure on other areas of your marketing. There's three things that you need, and you need them all working together. But the cool thing is, if you have these three things, you'll be able to scale your business faster and larger than you have ever experienced before. We know who we're trying to cater a message to, and now how exactly are we going to do it? First way is the topic. But the topic is, okay, we've got who you want to help, but how exactly do you help them? What actually is the topic of your training? Is there anything in there that is unique? Or are you just teaching it in the same way as every other coach teaches this particular thing? Because if you just teach it in the same way, if you don't have a USP, if your structure, if your training material has nothing unique about it, then you're going to really struggle to pull people off social media, because you just sound like every other Tom, Dick and Harry that's saying, I can help you get in shape, or I can help you stop drinking, or I can help you with your stage presence, or whatever the case is. If we're just saying stuff that's like words and phrases and things that have been used and said before, we're not standing out. The more specific that we can make our topic and what we actually teach, the better. So for me, let's just boil this down a little bit. These are the stages of refinement that I've been through. Well, you could argue that I teach marketing, you know what I mean? But I can't go out there and just say, hey, if you need, some more creative marketing strategies for your business, that's boring. So I've focused in on webinars and YouTube ads for as long as I can remember, because that brings something a bit more specific. And then I can add interesting phrases and terminology that even makes that sound more interesting. Even if you've decided what your topic is going to be and how you teach it is already a bit unique and a bit more specific, let's say, then we need to make that sound new, even if it's not. Webinars, not new. Yeah, I've been around for a very long time. If I just said how you can use webinars to get more clients, like most people would just glaze over that. It's not interesting. So I've got to find a way to make something old sound new. It's close to a non-negotiable, If you don't do this, you're putting a lot of pressure on other areas of your marketing to pull them in. Whereas this is going to be causing quite a roadblock. So with webinars, what's my example of making something old sound new? Well, I've used the CHARM webinar framework before, where I've said, hey, I've used this thing called the CHARM webinar to make $10 million in webinar sales in the last year and a half. It's like, well, I've heard of a webinar, but what's the CHARM webinar? It sounds really interesting. Another example was the Forgotten Funnel. I did a whole campaign around the Forgotten Funnel. And I was like, everyone in our coaching space has forgotten about this particular funnel. Can't believe it. It literally made me like $500,000 last month, and everyone's forgotten about this freaking thing. It's just like, well, it's intriguing again. It's exciting again. I've hooked their attention. I've pulled them in. This is what we're trying to achieve. And once they're in, I can educate them. All we're trying to achieve here is pull. That's all we're trying to get. What can I say and do to pull them in? And once they're in, I can explain the Forgotten Funnel. I can tell them there's actually a webinar. And now I've got their attention. I can mold that through the training. Another way of standing out with the topic is combining multiple specific steps or things in your industry, combine them together to make a little melting pot of something new. So for me, I've combined webinars with YouTube ads with high ticket sales. And if I combine those three things, I can create some really interesting stories, some really interesting hooks around a system that involves these three things. So now my system is unique, but I didn't have to come up with anything necessarily unique. Does that make sense? Yeah? So now I'm like, look, if you're trying to just use webinars to get clients, good luck. Unless you're using the right traffic source to go along with it and you're selling in the right way out the other end. You have almost no hope of making a webinar work. There's three things that you need, and you need them all working together. But the cool thing is, if you have these three things, you'll be able to scale your business faster and larger than you have ever experienced before. I'd love to teach you a bit more about it, So it's like I've mushed together three things, but I've created something very new and very exciting. Yeah? Does that make sense? So you can think about that as well. What might the steps in your process be? Just give it a number of steps. 3 steps, 4 steps, 5 steps. Just give it some steps, because now you've created a process. But each of those steps is something that they already knew. But you've created an order, you've created a process out of things that pre-existed. Okay? So that's the topic. Next, we've got the hooks. Now, the hooks are really the specific things that you're saying now to bring these people across. This is the part where it's like, what is the first 5 seconds you're saying? Like, what is that? What is that thing that's driving them off of social media and into your funnel? Okay, and I've got a few examples of things that you can use. I mean, newsjacking is a big one and really powerful when used correctly. So newsjacking is, well, what's a big trend right now? What is a big highlight in the media? You know, it could be good news, could be bad news, but is there something happening at the moment that everyone is kind of talking about? If you can jump on the back of that, you can create a little book around it. That particular advertisement or piece of content or article, whatever your traffic strategy is, it might have a lifespan. So keep that in mind. But it's, you know, you might find that for that period of time, that particular ad absolutely blows up. This happened in reverse for us, and this is Billy actually brought this to my attention. Billy behind the camera there brought this to my attention the other day. We've produced loads of TikTok videos and we just keep putting them out there. I was like desperate for content. I was like, what on earth do I shoot a video about today? So I did a video about an Aura ring. Many of you heard of an Aura ring? Mm. So a little techie ring. It'll tell you how your sleep's doing and things like that. I shot this short form content piece and I put it on TikTok. And it was one of our worst performing videos. No one seemed to really care about it. Got like a couple of 100 views, and we uploaded this months ago. We were like 4, 5, 6 months ago, a long time ago. It was like dead in the water. Like no one, you know what it's like. You upload a video onto TikTok and it takes off or it doesn't, but then it just kind of gets buried, right? Well, Billy just like ran into me today. He's like, John, the Aura ring video, it's out of nowhere. It's got 1.3 million views. And it was uploaded like 6 months ago. And we were like, what the heck is going on? So then we went and looked in some of the comments, and so many people were saying, I came here from the Jason Derulo video. And we're like, what the heck's the Jason Derulo video? So then Billy goes and looks at that, searches Jason Derulo Aura ring, and it turns out that Jason Derulo did a video where he talked about how he got an Aura ring stuck on his finger. And because of that, so many people went and searched for Aura ring, and for whatever reason our video was at the top of the search results in TikTok. We got 1.3 million views off the back of it. Weird. I mean, they're not my dream clients, so I'm not saying it was like, you know, we've done great in business out of it. But the point is, something happened in the news, in the media, something happened, and my video blew up. Well, what if we can reverse engineer that? You see what I'm saying? You with me? So if something big is currently happening, if we can just kind of quickly jump on it, create a hook around it, it's actually quite a good idea. So we can reverse engineer some of these things. Jump on trends, that's another one. I mean, the most obvious example is AI. You know, we're not all going to be able to have a way of weaving that into the business, but that's an example of something that everyone's talking about. It's a big trend at the moment. So if we can incorporate those buzzwords, might be a good idea. Another way of hooking people's attention and pulling them out, and I want to be really clear with this, the pulling them out is saying exactly who you want. It's actually just calling them out in the ad. I've done a lot of this, right? You've probably seen ads where I say, hey, real quick, if you're a coach or an expert, you're trying to sell high ticket coaching, I've got something I want to tell you, okay? It's worked for a very long time. It still works today. But I do want to caveat that with, I think that's probably one of the hooks, whatever you want to call it, that's perhaps becoming less effective because everyone's doing it. So I think we just need to get a bit more creative now with how we call out the who without just saying it. I mean, you'll still see me doing it. It's a proven strategy. It works. I'm just saying I think we can get more creative as well, right? So rather than just saying, hey, if you're a coach and just rattle off exactly who they are, I might try to think of a different hook that says something that's super interesting, but I know would only be interesting to the people that I actually want. I'm saying buzzwords or something else in that statement that I know is qualifying the right people, but I'm not just flat out calling out who it is. So that is still an option, but maybe try to get a bit more creative with it. Big, bold promises. Once we know who it is and once we know what the topic is, we can have hooks and angles in videos and advertisements that call out a big promise. You know, you've probably seen this a lot in our marketing space, and I think this one in particular is overused. But anyone seen any kind of ad where someone says, I'll help you get 30 qualified call bookings on your calendar in the next 27 days. Okay, all of you have seen it then, right? So the fact that all of you have seen it, there must be something to the fact that it's working. As much as you all just sighed because we've seen that ad so much, someone's done that hook, it's really worked, someone else has paid attention to it, now they're doing it, so on and so forth, until eventually what happens is there's just this, everyone's jumping on, and now it's lost its effectiveness, and now it's found a new hook, and someone's found a new hook, and everyone copies them, so you just either want to jump on one of those as it seems like it's really working, or come up with your own and be prepared that people are probably going to copy you. But having a big, bold promise, start the ad with what it is that you're actually going to help people to achieve. It's the thing that they want, and it's the result that they're after. Bad news. That's another one. Another hook that you can be using is bad news, and bad news that you then spin into good news. Right? People naturally, at least I have found, gravitate to bad news. It's almost like it's extra intriguing just to find out what that news actually, what that's about. So I might say, and I've actually used this one, and to my knowledge, it actually worked quite well. I might say, look, bad news, webinars don't work anymore. And if they'd seen my ads before, then they know that I'm the webinar guy. So that's already super intriguing. And even if they didn't know me, so look, bad news, webinars do not work anymore. You've got to stop using them if you want to get clients online. I'm like dropping in buzzwords of people that I want, because I want people that would relate to the word client, not customer, not deal, right? There's all these other words for the end result. Well, I like clients. That seems to land better with the people that I want. So it's like, well, that's really intriguing. So I want to find out what the end of this statement is going to be. And then, of course, I spin the bad news into the good news, but I've already started to pull their attention. You with me? So then I just talk about the fact that bad news is webinars don't work anymore, or at least how most people are teaching it online. Game has changed. You cannot run a webinar like 2016 and expect 2016 results, okay? You've got to be running webinars right now in the way that's currently working, and I've got a blueprint and off we go. But I pulled their attention with bad news. And finally, we've got the visuals, okay? The visuals. So who do we want? What are we going to be helping them with? How are we going to get their attention with what we say? And now how we get their attention with what we're actually doing, and how we, how the video is, or how that piece of content is. A few things to think about. Firstly, background. So the video that you're currently doing, what's happening behind you in the background. It used to be, like I say, it used to be okay to just have a decent looking background. Maybe some quality audio and nice bit of lighting. It's worth thinking about the backgrounds. Like the ones that we shoot in the studio, we've got lots of lights and it just looks cool and creative. It's great. When I'm abroad, that works really good. Like that seems to work, because we've seen this with other clients. Well, that seems to work in a lot of different industries, even if like lifestyle isn't a specific desire. There's just something about like everyone feels happy in the sunshine with a blue ocean. You know what I mean? So and a palm tree. There's something about that is just kind of calming. It just looks beautiful. So, just think about your backgrounds, what's going on. Maybe the background could be moving, you know what I mean? Maybe if you're used to just doing talking head videos where you sat down, perhaps get out of your comfort zone and just try some out and about. This takes me out of my comfort zone. I actually don't enjoy shooting ads out of the office. I like to be in the office. No one's listening if I screw up. But we've done a few. We're just out and about. We're just trying it. Because then if you're moving and talking, what's happening behind you is constantly moving. And that's creating something of a pattern interrupt. Something else is what might you be holding? I mean, if I'm doing an ad where I'm doing a hook, but I'm like holding this and I'm not paying attention to it yet, but I'm just holding it, that is actually hooking their attention. I kind of like what he's saying, but I assume he's going to explain what's in his hand, and I kind of want to know what it is. So what are you holding? Similar to that, props. So maybe you're holding something that's not actually important. Maybe you've got a prop that is important. Maybe it's in the back, maybe it's in the front, maybe it's you're getting in your car and you're talking while just be thinking about other things that can be going on. Colors, right? Bright colors are very helpful for grabbing attention. If you think you're just scrolling through Facebook or Instagram, or you're on YouTube and an ad pops up, if they're dull colors, visually you're not stimulated. That's one point they've already lost, right? Now they might make up getting your attention with other points, but they've certainly lost a point. And so if we lose too many of those points, you're just going to get the skip. So we want to get more. So that's certainly what, get those like bright colors. I think that's why the holiday ones do really well for us. When I'm doing an ad and there's a beach behind me and the sun is shining and it's palm trees, you've got bright green, you've got bright yellow. In post edit, these guys can really make those colors pop. That really, really helps. If you're in a boring room in your house that you're like, there's no color in here whatsoever, use animation. There's no shortage of AI tools now and editing kits that, you can just have some of the words that you're saying just pop up on the screen. Well, then use a bright purple or use a bright green, so you can use animation and text and video editing to make those colors pop. So rather than just having a talking head, and you might want to phase this, right? But you might want to do a talking head video, make sure that it's actually converting and it's doing okay. And once you know that, maybe we can now put it on steroids by editing that video afresh and putting some really cool animation on it, now that we know which one's working. So you might shoot 5 ads on your iPhone, yeah? If you know what's good for you, you would have had an iPhone anyway. So you shoot 5 ads on your iPhone, and then you put those into the machine. 2 of them do really well, 3 of them don't. So ditch the 3, the 2 that are left, either keep running them or let's edit a new version of them with loads of cool animation things popping all over the place. You could pay a video editor a few bob to do it, learn it yourself if it's an interesting hobby. So that's another way to do it. Do your own research on this and just be thinking about things that grab your attention and save them. When you're on social media, instead of just mindlessly scrolling and skipping things without really paying attention to why you did or you didn't, just have a notepad on your phone. Like I actually do this. I have a notepad on my phone. Anytime something gets my attention, I'll either make a note on that particular, I would just call it a hook, but I'll make a note on it. Like the shaky mug. Just write it down, like pointless prop. And I just write that, because it just that will spark the memory of it. Or maybe I'll even copy the link to that particular ad because I wanted to study it further. Or maybe I've just found myself watching a 2-minute ad on YouTube and I'm really not interested in this and I'm going to skip, but for some reason I'm still watching. Why? What was it about that particular ad that kept your attention? Let's just write that down. The more we do that, the more we'll start to create this archive, this bank of ideas. And next time you go, right, I need to shoot some new ads, or I need to create a new hook online somewhere, I need to, wherever it is you're trying to get attention, you've got a bank of options that you can just go to.